that according to an article by the Economic Forum posted in 2016 that 2/3 of all internet users worldwide are subject to internet censorship, citation Gray, 2016. Internet censorship can be a good thing when filtering violent items like child pornography, but ultimately it does more harm than good. The idea that censoring the internet is a huge issue of thinking critically. To prove just how often we're on the internet, quote, girls average 100 texts sent a day, end quote, which has an obviously large effect on technology on conversational skills. This was from a section from Interpersonal Communication in our textbook, Communicating Online by Julia Green, citation Green, 2017. It is vastly important to be able to see whatever we want when we search on the internet so we can form our own opinions. Currently in the US, there is very little censorship, really only covering child pornography. However, in other countries such as China, the censorship is off the charts. Alex Gray from the World Economic Forum reported on a study done by Freedom on the Net, wherein countries were ranked on a scale of censorship severity from 0 to 100. There are a few countries that scored the highest in the category 81 to 90, including China, Iran, Syria, and Ethiopia. Citation Gray, 2016. As a human race, it is important that we think critically and independently, and that simply cannot be done if we cannot see the information for ourselves. Having censorship of any material online is detrimental to critical thinking and freedom of speech and our thoughts. The idea that people cannot think freely because their knowledge is filtered so extremely is a direct parallel to George Orwell's novel, 1984. In the book, we follow the protagonist Winston Smith, who is a middle-aged man in a completely hopeless, dystopian society wherein everything consumed by people is fully controlled by the government. The largest threat today is people not thinking independently, but having spoon-fed ideas and opinions. Orwell plays with this idea in 1984, where even thinking rebellious thoughts is illegal and potentially lethal. When compared to Knapp's relational model brought up by our textbook, Communicating Online by Julia Green, just about every relationship in that book was on the downward. Citation Green, 2017. Beginning with differentiating and leading to terminating all relationships were designed to fail because of the prevention of communication in 1984. China's censorship is massive, and because China is one of the most populous countries, with 1,421 million people, it has a very large influence. Citation Statista, 2022. This information was found by Statista with an article entitled Total Population of China. And because of its extremely large influence in the world's economy and politics, it's important for countries like China to lower their censorship on the internet. People need to think and feel for themselves, and with such a large portion of the world's population unable to do that, there's a possibility for more censorship to follow in other countries. In order for people to be able to use critical thinking and form their own opinions, it is clear that there should be less censorship in the world. If other influential world leaders or China's own people could change the Chinese government's censorship policies, it would lead to a better future for everyone. With the Chinese people allowed to consume the media that they want and not be blocked by what officials think is best, it would open the door for other countries to do the same. If China loosened their censorship policies just a little, it would decrease the risk for other influential countries like the US or India to increase their censorship. A possible plan of action could be to create a petition for Chinese officials to gauge public interest about this issue. Step 1 would include actually creating the petition. This would likely be done by people who are, quote, digital natives, end quote, or people who are familiar with technology or have spent a lot of time near it or have grown up around it. Citation Prensky, 2017. Mark Prensky created the idea of digital natives and digital immigrants in 2001 through comparing learning in the past versus learning in the future. Step 2 would involve getting enough signatures to make a global impact. That way, people worldwide could see it and help support the issues. It might even push political figures to provide their own opinions on the issues. Step 3 would be to accomplish the goal and get enough momentum to actually decrease the amount of censorship in China. Achieving goals like these have been possible, and an article by Christina Maxouras from CNN entitled Online Petitions Work Best When You Do More Than Just Sign gives us tips on that success. Their biggest tip was to involve emotions and use a pathos lure. Citation Maxouras, 2020. People need to care for petitions to work, and I think the threat of a 1984 Orwellian society is enough motivation to create change. When thinking about this, it's so important to picture a world where people could freely view the internet. If China were to decrease its censorship, there is a possibility of political change as well. If people were to think for themselves and act on their own opinions, political movements could be started because people could decide and think freely about their government. If we want our internet in the US to stay uncensored, we must ensure that censorship is decreased elsewhere. People should think freely about their lives and their ideas and shouldn't be masked by any government or organization. This has been Taylor Ekman with Online Censorship. Thank you for listening.